Kidding. Hey, I'm Ebony with Where Ideas, and today I'm going to show you one of the most effective ways to plan an event that people show up to, care about, and take action on even after the event is over. Let's build together. Okay, I'm not going to bury the lead here. One of the most effective and efficient ways to have an event that people care about, show up to, and do something after the event is over is by creating a meeting design and a run of show. I know that seems simple, but follow me, I'm going to tell you why. So, first we're going to start with the meeting design, and the reason you do a meeting design is threefold. One, it's because if you have thought through before, during, and after an event, in particular after, you have thought through why people want to be at your event, why they should care about your cause, and why they should be a big fan of the work that your nonprofit or social impact company does. Number two, it tells you whether this event should be an email or not. And it's hard to convince a boss or a board that they shouldn't have a gala, yet another one, or gala, potato, potato. Anyway, every year there's a gala that we spend tons and thousands and billions of money on. We could have put that money towards any of the people that we're actually trying to impact. But I'm gonna get off my high horse. You have to do it. Hard to convince them otherwise. But if there are events that you can tell a stakeholder or a board member or a boss why they can't have an event, creating a meeting design tells you, and therefore them, on paper, here's the reason why this event should or should not happen. And number three, it tells your partners and the community members why they should promote the event, why they should show up to the event, why they should be a long-term strategic partner, so that together you're walking towards your united mission, or the mission that is connected to each other but not necessarily intersecting. And so I want you to do this meeting design because it has transformed how I bring people together. It helps people to have a deep connection to themselves and to their cause. It means that you understand exactly why you do the work that you do. Instead of writing event planner on your LinkedIn, you're still the DEI expert or the executive director or the finance manager. You understand the importance of the work that you do, even though development director is under your title. Event planner ends up being so much of your day-to-day life. And sometimes that's painstaking. That's not why you went to school. That's not why you've been doing the work you've been doing. But here we are. So those are some reasons why doing a meeting design and run of show is so important. So I'm going to start with meeting design and how you write it. If you're curious, there is a link below this video that you can click on, and you can actually do your own meeting design based on the event that you have coming up while we're talking through this video. Feel free, obviously, to stop and rewind. And also, you can make comments and ask questions in the comment section below, and I'll get to most or all of those questions and comments so that I can help you write a meeting design and run of show so that you have an event that people show up to, care about, and take action on even after the event is over. The term meeting design comes from the COS method. COS is a whole systems approach to governing and managing and thinking about events and meetings. A meeting design is a component of the COS method that we have been using for many, many years. It was originally coined and created as a part of the COS method by Rachel Connerly. If you'd like to know more about the COS method and why we've been using it to support organizations and events for almost 20 years, please feel free to comment below. And if you'd like to learn more about the COS method right away, please feel free to visit thecos.org. Okay. So the first component of the meeting design is setting context, 2 or 3 sentences that tells people what is the big picture of the entire company or organization. Then there's the 4 components that we're going to talk about today. First, there's the challenge statement. The question you want to ask in order to get to the challenge statement is, what is frustrating, irritating, irking, making other people sad or angry within community or within your organization or company? So I want you to pause and think through that. You can write a couple of sentences, but ultimately your challenge statement is coming from that answer, and it should be one sentence. Keep it very simple. The solution shouldn't be embedded in it. It should be a problem. So let's say, for example, I was writing a meeting design about being hungry. I'm actually currently hungry. And then I said something like, I'm hungry for really good food. That's true, that could be a problem statement. But you want to keep it even more simple by saying, I am hungry. And so I want you to think about it, to put it that simply. And the reason you're doing so is you want to really drill home what the problem is. Another way I do it once I answer some of those questions is, once I have the answers, I ask myself, so what? So what, I'm hungry. So what, I want to have an event where I'm inviting stakeholders to learn more about this campaign that I want to launch. You want to really get down to the problem. You want to keep it to one sentence. So the second component of your meeting design is the mission of the meeting, or the meeting's purpose, as I call it. Now, everybody wants to talk about the big mission of the organization, as you should. But you also want people to understand, why is this meeting on a Tuesday evening when I'd rather be home watching Netflix and eating ice cream, if you're me? Why do I need to then take time out of my evening to come to your event? It's not that I don't care. A lot of people care. But why is it that I'm showing up tonight, or in a week, or in 6 months? You really want to think through this, even if it's a large-scale event or a small-scale event. Really important to drill home, what is the intention? And so the meeting's purpose, the second component of your meeting design, should include the meeting purpose, and you're getting that as the opposite of whatever your challenge statement is. So, for example, I'm hungry, the opposite would be to go eat, or to eat good food. And you're doing that by understanding, here's what the goal is by having this meeting. And if this goal were obtained, the meeting would be a success. The reason I'm underscoring that point right now is because sometimes we have really big, grandiose ideas and goals for a 2-hour event. Keep it simple, keep it clear, and make it obvious to people that are looking at your graphic, here's why I'm showing up. Okay, so the third component is your desired outcomes. They're usually nouns, so obviously person, place, or a thing. And the reason they are that is because it simplifies really easily. Here are the clear goals of this 1 to 2 hour meeting, or this full day conference, or this 3-day conference. And with every event we've done in the 15 to 20 years I've been working on events, it works every single time to get more people to show up. In fact, a lot of our events over the years have had waiting lists or people emailing to want to get involved after the event is over because people are talking about the event. I'll talk about experiences in other videos and how to create them, but in this case, writing a meeting design and a run of show helps people that are visiting the space that you're in, or coming to the space that you're in, or learn about the event after. It helps them to know exactly why they want to be there. And so the desired outcomes, again, are nouns. It could be anything like a confirmed budget, a timeline, a sense of connection to the people in the room, a sense of connection to the cause. There are a lot of examples of that. And in the template in the link below that you'll click on, you'll see different examples of what a meeting design looks like, and it will help you then to write it for your own event. I also want to remind that if you can, or if you want to, put your questions once you're working on the meeting design in the comment section, and I'll do my best to answer, if not all of them, most of them. Okay, and then the fourth component is the action steps. The action steps are what you want them to take, both at the very end of the event, or going towards the end of the event, and after the event. That obviously tells them what you want them to do. It helps you to think through it so that you're prepared for the event. But it also helps you to understand, what preparation do I need to take before the event even happens, so that they know, so that I know after the event is over, here's exactly what I need to have set up. The automated email that needs to be set up at 10 o'clock that night. the text messaging campaign that's being set up for 11 a.m. the next morning. You want to make sure that people are very clear about exactly what you want them to do, because there's nothing worse than walking out of the space, and we've all been there, either as the planner or the person that's left and thought, I don't know what I was there for. It was a nice event though. I saw so-and-so, I hadn't seen her in a couple weeks. You know what I'm saying? You gotta plan. Okay, so that's the meeting design. Now, I want to give you an example of something here recently with one of our clients. We needed to gather nonprofit organizations from across the state to come together as a part of a coalition. It's an alliance that's one of our clients. And we needed to be able to gather them because they're planning a statewide project that requires the organizations to come together to determine if they want to move forward. There are a lot of steps in that process, obviously, but this one meeting needed to have a meeting design that tells me exactly how I can support the convening committee and the member organizations that are involved and engaged in the process. So for me, the challenge statement was, the challenge statement was, the member organizations do not know what the budget, timeline, or project entails. So the meeting's purpose is for the member organizations to have an approved budget, timeline, and purpose for this statewide project. So the desired outcomes were something like a approved timeline, an approved budget, a sense of community, a sense of reconnection to the cause. We also talked about the re-grant process. So another desired outcome was a conversation about the re-grant for each of the organizations. And so this is the kind of thing you're actually thinking through so that you know how, you guessed it, the run of show is going to look. And the run of show is really important because it tells you when, what, how, and why. And so with the meeting design, I want you to think through those items. And once you do it more, it gets easier. But this should not take you, unless you're doing research, and sometimes we do, so it can take longer. But usually a quick and dirty meeting design can take anywhere between 15 and 20 minutes. And then you move on to the run of show. The when is exactly how it sounds. It's the time that you're going to start this component of the meeting. So that may be a presentation, that may be an artist that you're featuring, that may be another presentation that you're talking about housing, another presentation where you're talking about how housing impacts the LGBTQ community, maybe another component about Black erasure. It could be a number of things, but the work here is for you to identify exactly when it's going to happen and get as close to time as you can. Obviously, we start events late because people show up late for whatever reason, but you want to be respectful of time, and you also want to consider how long you've been on a particular section of your meeting or a large-scale event. And then it's the what. So even when I've had large-scale events, and let's say, for example, one event I'm thinking of, we had maybe 6,000 or 7,000 people convening for a conference. And we still had a run of show to know exactly what component of each portion of the event we were going to be working on, what was happening with the breakout sessions, what was happening on the main stage, etc. So it doesn't matter how big or small, having these components to your meeting design and run of show help you to understand exactly why you're doing the work, what are the action items that's happening after the event, during and after the event, therefore causing people to be closer to the mission and your ultimate goal, as well as short-term goals. Okay, so you have the when part of your run of show, and then you have your what. That may be a presentation, it may be someone speaking, but one of the things I like to drill home with a what and the how, again, these documents are in the link below, and I encourage people to download and follow along with it if you can, is it helps you to engage the audience. So this is really important because I think a lot of times we become talking heads, which is ironic considering this dynamic here, but follow me. The audience is wanting to be engaged in the process, and people tend to be looking down or focused on a PowerPoint presentation, and then they don't really have the energy that you're looking for when you're speaking from a stage to thousands of people or in front of a board of 10 people. So you want to take the time to really think through the what, whatever it may be. And that could be something as simple as having the Google Doc up on the as a part of the AV while you're typing and answering questions so that people can see you do the work as you're doing a presentation. It could also be something as simple as someone's going to be singing or doing some sort of artistic thing at that moment. Still important to know the what and the how so that you can allot time for whatever that portion of the event is. And then the final part of your run of show is the who. And I think this is important. Sometimes you're the only person that's going to be facilitating these meetings, and therefore you are the who that runs down this entire portion of the run of show. But sometimes you want to engage staff, board members, stakeholders, advisory boards, community members. And part of the reason this is so exciting to do is because it gives people a sense of buy-in into the work. We often talk about social impact work and nonprofit work through the lens of thankless sort of I don't know, it's just not fun. It's not engaging. It could be interesting sometimes, but when you've been doing it for as long as so many of us have been doing it, it sort of loses its chutzpah, you know? Is that the right word? You understand what I'm saying? And that begets burnout. And so one of the ways you continue to be inspired by the work is by getting people engaged in the work with you. And that even includes something like the meeting design. I have found time after time after time, when you allow people to be a part of the creation process, for people that like to be a part of that process, they then feel more of a sense of urgency to show up and support, not just for that event, but even after the event is over. And so I want to just encourage you to download these documents, work through them together. And as you have questions, come back to the video, throw your questions down, your comments down, so that we can throw down together. Even though I may not be able to show up to your event, I do want to be able to support you in having an event that feels meaningful, purposeful, intentional, and efficient. Because these things can be exhausting, am I right? I mean, my goodness, everything feels like a money grab. And am I doing the right thing? Is it happening at the right time? Are people gonna care? Do I care anymore? I don't really want to be honest about that, but these things get, the work we're doing can be tiresome for sure. And so our goal is to be able to bring the energy, bring the spunk, bring the fun back to the work that you may not have intended to do, but you ended up doing. And after you leave this job, this work, this business, you can leave it a little better than how you found it, because you found the processes, the policies and procedures that I'm going to give you, so that the next person that's standing in your position has it maybe a little bit easier than you did. Okay, so do the work, write the questions, write your comments, let me know what you think. Let's bring people together.